It's a good day to have a good day. Hello, everybody. My name's Cece Ray. Thanks for joining me here at Break the Dish, where we break the news and dish out the tea. Hello, breakers. How are you today? We are getting to recap The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 15, Episode 5. And, it was a little bit of a slow-moving episode, in my opinion. I mean, you see kind of where it's heading, the storylines here and there, but it was kind of a yawner, to be honest. But before we get into it, you know what to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because here we break the dish. We are recapping The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 15, Episode 5, and we are picking it up in Sedona. The ladies are staying at this resort called, I think, the Little Daisy. It's at the top of this mountain in the middle of nowhere. Now, I know what you're about to say. Like in the middle of nowhere in Potomac. No, there's a difference. These women have water at least, okay? But it is a beautiful view. And everyone's getting ready to go their separate ways. Some are going to the vortex. And Jennifer Tilly, she cracks me up. She's like, what is this vortex? Like, is it a portal? Do they do revelations? Am I going to vomit and collapse? But at least I'll look fabulous, you know. And then Sutton goes on and explains that the vortex is a center of energy. There's different hubs of this all over the earth, and one of them is in Sedona. Okay. So all the ladies are getting ready and they're downstairs, and why I'm pointing this out is because this is one of the things that really rubs the ladies the wrong way, and even as a viewer, it kind of rubs me the wrong way too, but Amanda turns around and says, well, I have sunscreen. Well, she just didn't say she has sunscreen. She goes, I have sunscreen in my Chanel backpack. Okay. Thanks for pointing that out, Amanda. Rachel's not going because her clothes have not arrived yet. Remember, she FedExed them, and they had not arrived yet. So this is not an option for her. And so it's Kyle, Erica, Sutton, Jennifer Tilly. They're all going to Amanda. They're all going to the vortex, and Bose, Rachel, and Dorit are going shopping. Now, I think Kathy Hilton originally was going to go shopping until she found out like it's a long ride, and she was like, I'm tired. And so she decides to stay in bed, and Rachel in her confessional was like, she's just like my mother, she's up all ungodly hours of the night. She could hear her above her at 4 a.m. She's like, so she just needs to rest, put a fan on her and just take it easy, So those three go shopping, and they go into this store. It's kind of like a novelty store. What amazed me was these women were so fascinated with a kaleidoscope. I mean, don't get me wrong, they had all different kinds there. I really liked the really tiny one. It almost looked like a keychain that Rachel was looking at, but have they never seen a kaleidoscope before? I mean, really? Even Bose was like, does this thing, do different patterns? And then she was like, oh, it's a kaleidoscope, ladies. Really weird. So then they come out of the store, and that was it for them. Like, they were done. They're like, okay, I'm ready for a drink. So they go into this winery and sit down and have a glass of wine. Now, the other ladies are taking these really cool pink Jeeps, and these Jeeps are big, with lots of seats in them. And so they're taking them to the vortex. Now, when it looks like the Jeep's actually like just pulled off on the side of the highway, that's what it looked like to me. To get to the vortex is a mile and a half up, up. Okay. Not only that, but it's 102 degrees. Wow. Okay. So all the way up, God love Jennifer Tilly. She is talking and talking. I don't even think she was talking to, I think she was talking to herself actually. And Amanda says to Erica, does she talk all the time? And Erica goes, well, that's why she's an Oscar nominated actress. And Amanda says, because she talks all the time? She's like, well, of course. But in Erica's confessional, she's like, I know Amanda's a millennial, but I bet you she doesn't even know who Jennifer Tilly is. Probably not. So they get up to the top, and you see Jennifer Tilly like panting, and she's like climbing, and she's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, And their tour guide says, we're going to sit down and, just let the wind, because it looked like it was pretty windy up there. Let the wind hit your face and get everything out of your head. And just, this is the time for meditation. Okay. And so while everyone's, meditating, Kyle and Erica are sitting together, and Kyle says, I wish the other ladies came with us. And she's like, but, I didn't have a chance to tell you that I spoke to Dorit, and I think she's mad at me. And she starts explaining how I think she's angry with her situation, but she's taking it out on me. No, girl, she's not taking it out on you. It's because you're not a girl's girl. You do not have her back whatsoever. And on the flip side, Dorit has Bose and Rachel in this winery, and they're talking, and Dorit says that, the other day, Kyle came over and she told her that she doesn't feel like she's supported. And Bose is saying, like, you want to see her make that effort, not just say it, but see it, And Rachel basically says, in this type of situation, you expect your girlfriends to have your back, and it's true. And Kyle does not have Dorit's back whatsoever. We all know that. And so Kyle, they flip it back over, and Kyle's talking to Erica, and, Kyle says that she spoke to Mauricio, and they, show you a snippet from a couple days ago where, she's FaceTiming Mauricio, and Mauricio is saying, I think he's a good dad, and I've seen these texts, and, basically Dorit is blocking him from seeing the kids. And Erica's basically like, like, just don't get involved. Like, just don't put yourself in the middle of this, because basically it's going to come down to a he said, she said, which is so true. But, Kyle can't help herself. I mean, she is the crap stirrer after all. And so everyone now is back at the house, and apparently Sutton, who's the host of this trip, has decided that everybody is going to cook dinner, all the ladies. Okay. Well, one by one, each one is showing up in the kitchen, and 11 o'clock, yeah, that's right, 11 o'clock at night, here comes Sutton and Oh, before I wanted to tell you this, I almost totally forgot. So before Sutton and Bose come down, Amanda goes to Kyle's room. And Amanda says, I need your advice. And Kyle's like, okay. She's like, well, a friend of mine was out. And did Sutton have an assistant like Ari or, and Kyle's like, Avi? And she's like, yeah. Well, they were talking to him and he said, have Amanda call me and I'll give you all the dirt on Sutton. Mm-hmm. So should I tell her? Kyle's like, oh yeah, I would definitely tell her. I mean, she should know, you know, one pot stirred to the other. Um, so Bose and Sutton come down. It's like 11 at night. Now, Sutton is just starting to cook the chicken. I mean, it's kind of funny. I mean, it is late. Like, it really is late. And, you know, before Bose even came down, I mean, she was in glam. For what, I have no idea. But she's talking to her boyfriend about, you know, she's got 4 days left of injections, and then they do the egg retrieval. So before dinner's done, they're waiting for the chicken, which apparently is on the grill now. And Amanda says to Sutton, there's something I need to talk to you about. Sutton's like, go on. And Amanda's like, well, a friend of mine ran into your assistant, Avi, and he said, tell Amanda to call me and I'll give her all the dirt on Sutton. And if she needs an assistant, she can hire me. Sutton's like, well, you should hire him, you know. And Amanda's like, oh, no, 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 no. I didn't give him any dirt, obviously. She's like, and, you know, I have a full staff. Like, I don't need anybody. And Jennifer, in her confessional, says that when this all went down with Avi, she really thought that this was going to be like a temporary situation. And she actually spoke to Avi. And Avi kind of thought it was temporary too. And he didn't even know what had happened. You know, that they were friends until they weren't, you know. And Sutton says, look, you know, she just doesn't think that Avi would say that. That they had a very good friendship, but they also had a professional relationship. And so basically, she doesn't want to talk about it. Okay. So now all the ladies are getting up and getting ready for dinner. And Amanda turns around and she says to Kyle, well, now I'm going to have to call my friend and get more context. Really, Amanda? So Sutton is in the kitchen, and her and Dorit have a really nice moment. She's explaining to Dorit that she didn't like where her life was heading, and she had to make a shift. She even went to her mother for advice, and basically what the conclusion was out of that, because remember, her mom's like a therapist or something, that she was blaming everybody, like not blaming everyone, but she was angry about her marriage failing, and she was taking that anger and misplacing it on others, and it's not fair to them. And, you know, she caused this, she did this to herself, and now she has to, you know, make things right. And Dorit in her confessional was like, I could see the wall coming down. And she's like, she's definitely making an effort. So that was a nice moment between her and Dorit. So now it's morning time, and Amanda's downstairs, and Erica comes down, and Erica's like, I'm making myself a margarita. You know, she's on vacation, you know, and why not? They're on vacation, right? She's like, I need to, this'll get me into the vibe, you know. Uh, but Amanda, the way she looks at Erica, she really is judging her. You know what I'm saying? Like, she really is. Amanda then says to Erica, I think Sutton's mad at me. Erica's like, of course she is. And she's like, well, I think she's also mad at me because this morning, she was mad that I was complaining that she was late. Now Rachel comes down and, Rachel is, I love Rachel. She sees Erica's drinking a margarita and Erica's like, I made a margarita. And she's like, yeah, I like that. And right away, Amanda's like, it's going to help her get into the vibe. Judgy. You know what I mean? So while, Rachel is, on the phone with, her son, well, no, before she even got on the phone with her son, actually, and this is what's rubbing people the wrong way, and I get it when it comes to Amanda. Rachel said, I used to want to have control of every outcome in my life. She's like, and now I just throw it to the universe. And she's been working with a life coach, and the life coach said, what about the next man that comes into your life? Have you ever thought about manifesting what he would look like, And Amanda's like, I did that. Well, Rachel and Erica look at Amanda like, really, girl? She's like, when I was 13, I manifested that I would marry a model from Abercrombie. And, like the first week that Eddie and I were dating, he was a model for Abercrombie. These two are looking at her and they're like, okay. So while Rachel is on the phone with her son, Amanda kind of leans over to Erica and she's like, almost like explaining to Erica, like, I love him so much because, like, his salary in a year doesn't come up to what I make in a month because I'm the breadwinner. Like, who puts that out there? Number one. And then Erica in her confessional was like, I wish I was the breadwinner, then maybe things wouldn't have turned out the way they did. Yeah, no joke, Erica. We know that. So everybody is going shopping, and Amanda is now on the phone the entire ride, sitting next to Erica, talking about this and that and God knows what. And, Erica in her confessional was like, you don't have to stunt in front of us, girl. Like, if you have business, take it to your room. Like, we're all on vacation. And Jennifer Tilly is explaining that when you go shopping in Sedona, you shop for turquoise and cowboy hats. Just in case anybody's going to Sedona. Then Amanda and Rachel go into this coffee shop. I was kind of confused by this too, by the way. So if anybody knows about this, please hit me up because I was a little confused about this. But Amanda says to the barista, when she was asking about, do you have matcha? She then asks, is it ceremonial grade? And Rachel's like, does it have to be blessed? And then Rachel does one of these things that I do all the time. I can't. Like, I just can't. I can't. And that was so true. But I have no idea. Like, what does that mean, ceremonial grade? What does that mean? So now they're all done shopping and they're going to dinner. Now, I'm thinking that there are a lot of restaurants in downtown Sedona. Well, maybe not a lot, but there's probably a few nice, eclectic restaurants down there. But the hostess, God love Sutton, has these ladies going to dinner at an airport, and not just an airport, like they are sitting on the runway. Okay. And Erica says, in her confession, Erica cracked me up this episode, I'm telling you. Erica says, if this Sutton Brown is making everybody hot, cook their own meals, have dinner at an airport, can we have Sutton Stracke back? Because she was more glamorous. um, and, Sutton explains, look, I chose this restaurant at this airport because it had a beautiful view. And it did. It did have a beautiful view, but I mean, who goes to dinner at an airport? I've never gone to dinner at an airport, especially not a small airport. Um, and so then, Kyle, the crap stir that she is, leans over to Amanda and she's like, are you okay? And Amanda goes, why do I look tired? Kyle's like, no, I thought I saw a tear. Oh my God. And right away, Amanda looks at Sutton and she says, Sutton, are you mad at me from this morning, because of the whole hey Missy thing? And, Sutton's like, oh, you'll know when I'm mad at you. And she's like, yeah, but calling me hey Missy, that's like a strong statement. And Sutton's like, no, I'm not mad. That's not being mad. That's being agitated. And because it all was coming down to that Jennifer Tilly told Sutton in the morning that Amanda was complaining about her because she was late. Now, everybody was late. I mean, they had the clock on the screen. Each one came in like here and there. And so all the ladies, even though dinner was supposed to be, I think, at 7:45, it wasn't just Sutton. I mean, all of them were late, including Amanda. But Amanda turns around and says to Sutton, so it's not about your assistant, Avi? Sutton's like, no, it's not. And then she's like, right away, like Sutton shuts that down. She's like, I don't want to talk about Avi. If you all want to talk about Avi, you go right ahead. Have a conversation amongst yourselves. Just don't include me in it. Because I just don't think he would say that, And Erica says to Sutton, look, when you say something like that, it makes it look much worse than probably it really is. And in Sutton's confessional, she's like, Amanda's not stupid. She's like, but don't use me to bring attention to yourself. And that's exactly what Amanda was doing. And then I like how she said, Missy. And then Rachel says, yeah, but he shouldn't have done that. Because if he's going to do that to you, he's going to do that to others, And I mean, Sutton is shutting this conversation down. She's like, I don't want to talk about it. And that's the end of it. Just don't include me. And so, everyone's like, okay, Sutton, whatever, And Amanda, like, looks right at Sutton and she's like, do you cry often? Where does that come from? Because she's getting emotional? And Sutton's explaining, like, this was somebody that was very close to me, another person in my life that I've lost, So Jennifer Tilly goes to say something. She didn't even get any words really out. She was like, well, I think, or something like that. And Sutton's like, not now, Jen, just not now, you know. So Kyle and Jennifer Tilly go to the bathroom. They're sitting outside the bathroom talking. And Jennifer says to Kyle, I don't like being snapped at. I know she's fragile. I know she's going through a lot. But, now I see why Garcelle left. Like, that's what she said. Is that crazy or what? Crazy, right? Crazy. So let's think about this a second. Okay. Garcelle, she is right, but Garcelle left because Sutton never had her back. Let's be clear about this. At that reunion, Sutton was so focused on being Kyle's friend and her friendship with Kyle that she kind of left Garcelle like waving all by herself in the wind. So Garcelle left. She was like, I'm done. I'm out of here. This isn't worth it to me anymore. Now, as the viewer, we all see it. I think the cast sees it. So either Sutton doesn't see it and she's blind, or she just doesn't want to acknowledge it. Okay? But we all know that that's basically why Garcelle left. I mean, she did not feel supported by Sutton. Sutton never had her back. And that's why she cut Sutton out of her life. End of discussion. And then, of course, Kyle, the crap stirrer, she's like, I'm shocked. This is supposed to be your best friend. And she's talking about you like this? You know where this is heading, right? Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, but at the end of the dinner, everyone's saying, even Erica says to Sutton, listen, you're in a much better place with everybody in the group than when you were before. Don't let this get to you. And Dorit is like, we have your back, Sutton. Like, truly, we have your back. And Sutton says, I am so surprised how I am connecting with these ladies. And before, I never felt like I was part of the group. But now she feels like she's part of the group and she's happy. And Breakers, that's where this episode ends. So what do you think? Slow episode, right? I mean, you can kind of see where the storylines are going. It was kind of like wonk wonk. But Amanda, I mean, she is pushing some buttons from label naming everything she owns to being a know-it-all. I mean, even to the point of like at one point, they're driving to the restaurant and there's this beautiful sunset and Bose is trying to take a picture. And Amanda says, oh, if you clean your screen and you put it on cinematic, you'll get much more of that. Bose is like, I want it hazy, thanks. She is just a know-it-all. And I think also because of her age, like she doesn't have the life experience to be a know-it-all, and you can see that each one of these ladies is getting really irritated with her. Well, except for the other crap stir. You know who I'm talking about. I mean, seriously, I can see these two being thick as thieves because they're both crap stirrers as well. And I do agree with Sutton that, Amanda's not stupid. She knows what she's doing. And she's using this to bring attention to herself, to make her relevant. That's what she's doing. And even Erica said at one point that it's gossipy and it's almost like saying, I know something about you. Ew. Like, ew. So, I'm not sure. This could be a really long season with Amanda in it. You know what I mean? But what do you think? I mean, do you like Amanda? Um, I don't know. I mean, I'm still going back to I think it was a couple episodes ago where I think it was her, Dorit, and Bose, and she's like giving Dorit advice, like financial advice, and she's like, you have to like meditate or manifest where you want to be financially. And Bose is like, what is she talking about? It brings me back to that, where I don't want to say she's a fraud because that's not true, but I mean, like, I know she wrote a book on manifesting type stuff, but like financial freedom or something like that. But I don't know. You know what I mean? I definitely raise an eyebrow to Amanda. So what do you guys think? Do you like her? Think she's a good uh addition to the cast? You know, I think Rachel's a great addition. She really is, but and when Rachel speaks, she speaks with intent and there is meaning behind her words. Amanda is just talking. I mean, she really is. Amanda is like a know-it-all, a label caller, and a crap star. That's my impression of Amanda. I'm just saying. This is my impression. But what's your impression? Make sure you leave your comments down below so we can start a discussion. And before you do, you know what I'm going to ask you to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because here we break the dish.